the hottest sedan out, the new 2023 Honda Accord Touring Hybrid in meteorite metallic gray over black leather seats. When you get to the Touring, this is everything. You're going to get upgraded wheels. Interior, you're going to get the upgraded infotainment. All of them will be standard with the 10.2 digital gauge cluster that is customizable. But what's special about the hybrid, this is an all-new engine, retuned suspension. Ocean Honda of Port Richey has given us to display this and take it for a drive to show you what the all-new Accord is. Starting up with your standard LED headlamps and daytime runnings. Active grille shutter with the gloss black. New pattern design working on the lower. You'll have a gloss black strip that runs across the whole lower lip. 5.3 inches of clearance. When you option an EX, this will be a matte black. So it does change the appearance of the front, the wheel size, even the side skirts, shark fin antenna. But when you go into the hybrid, they pretty much throw in everything opposed to the LX and the EX. Front parking sensors, a long hood that stresses more of an elegant stance, but you still have the aerodynamic lines. And it brushes over your headlamp assembly, more of a boxy front fascia. It's a wider stance, 6 inches more than the prior gen. The fenders, they're going to bulge out a bit, so it gives a touch of that sport design. Because this is the Touring Hybrid, this is the top of the line wheel. 19-inch machine finished alloy wheels with black inserts. Option the Sport L Hybrid and it will be a matte black. The brakes are going to be smaller in the front by an inch compared to the 10th generation. Chrome that's going to surround all the window treatment, and it makes a boomerang effect towards the end of that sportsback European design. Retuned McPherson strut front suspension and a retuned multi-link rear suspension. Both the front and the rear will get your coil springs and your anti-roll bars with a tubular setup in the front and a solid setup in the rear. Gloss black on the lower skirt. This will also be on all the sport trim as well as the shark fin antenna. With the Touring, the shark fin antenna will be the same color as the body. The same thing for your side view mirror caps, and for the door handles, that will be the same color as the body for all the trims. Unless you go into the sport, you get a little bit more sport cues. Gloss black will be on the spoiler lip for the trunk lid. When you get into the Touring, you're just gonna have that trunk lid that kind of sets up a little bit to give a sports style. The Toyota Camry will have a more sporty essence, especially if you go to the TRD. It's lowered 0.6 inches. You get a ground effect kit, Brembo brakes in the front. You're not going to receive that with the Honda line anymore. There's no more 2.0 turbo, so you're gonna have to forget about that horsepower and torque in those 0 to 60 numbers, because this is going to be more of an elegant stance, and it still has a sporty touch to it because of the sportback design. The 2.0 liter 4-cylinder with 204 horsepower and 247 pound-feet of torque gets a CVT transmission. We have the revised LED tail lamps, and I like the light setup because it goes into a smaller Honda badging, which looks similar to the first Accord back in 1976. On the lower, the gloss black continues all across. If you get the EX or the LX, it's going to be matte black. The sport trim will give you a diffuser in between, which will look a little bit more sporty, but this is still a hybrid, so we're not necessarily looking to get crazy numbers. 0 to 60 is around 6.7 to 7.4 seconds. Quarter mile is going to be also slower than the 2.0 turbo from last year. 2 engine options. You get a 1.5, 192 horsepower of 192 pound-feet of torque. That's a carryover. Unfortunately, no more 10-speed automatic transmission either. But I like the way they have designed the rear because it does look more like a European sedan. And that's where Honda is taking the brand, whether you go into the Civic, HR-V, or the new Pilot. Non-power trunk lid, which for the Touring, I wish this was the case. 16.7 cubic feet of storage, the same as last year, which is still over 1 cubic feet more than the Toyota Camry. It's a lower opening and a wider opening than the Toyota. On the non-hybrids, you'll get a spare tire, but we get the hooks for some baggage. Split fold the rear bench in the back at a 60-40 split, increasing the cargo to the Honda Accord. We're gonna try to start it so you can hear the way the exhaust sounds. Entering inside the all-new Honda Accord Hybrid Touring, and there's a lot of newness to it, not just on the exterior, but it comes inside. Unfortunately, the headroom is going to be the same as the prior gen at 37.5 inches. The same thing, 42.3 inches of leg space. But you will get everything when you get into the Touring Hybrid. And unfortunately, you have to go hybrid in order to get these features. 10-way power seat adjustment for the driver and memory, 4-way power seat adjustment for the passenger. Because this is the Touring, ventilated, heated seats, perforated with the contrast stitching. And these are all new designs, so it's supposed to be more soft for a long journey, a little bit more wider than the prior gen. The mesh inserts with the silver for your air vents, the gloss black on the top and on the lower, and it's going to be more sporty materials everywhere. We also get a knob for the volume, which makes it a little bit more easier for everyone, so you don't have to use everything on the touchscreen. 12.3 color touchscreen display with Google built in, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. On the vehicle settings, each thing will point at what it is for your setup, which is pretty cool and very easy to operate. Put it into reverse, it'll reverse camera, full trajectories, camera positioning all over, and it also expands just like the prior gen. Front and rear parking sensors here on the side, and also on the gauge cluster you'll see that it is active too. So when you put it into drive, you see the red lights for your brakes. Now it's off, now it's on. You turn the indicator. That's pretty cool. That's derived out of Acura, so I like that they're putting that into the Honda. This is a customizable 10.2 digital gauge cluster that is standard on every single trim. When you change driving modes, you actually have modes here, so you can individually tailor it the way you like: sport, normal, or econ. Customize, you can do it for your powertrain, steering, the ACC, and your gauge layout and the gauges. Scroll down to sport, normal, econ, and you can also click the EV right there, so it'll just be pure EV. 6-inch heads-up display, which is only on the Touring Hybrid. 12-speaker Bose sound system, only on the Touring Hybrid, including a subwoofer. Same flat dash with some more knobs for your dual climate control settings. A wireless charging pad. This is a 15-watt QI charger, only on the Touring, with 2 USB-A ports. Cup holders, you can easily fit, I would say, a 20-ounce without any issues at all. That's the key fob for the new Honda Accord Touring. That's the key fob for the new Honda Accord Touring. Leather on the gear lever and on the 3-spoke steering wheel. Multi-function, adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, paddle shifters. The stocks will be the same on every vehicle. And you get the soft materials everywhere. Soft for your elbows, open up. Standard 12-volt charger in all trims right in here with a large storage pocket. The door panel and the dash integrate together. Memory starts off for the driver. Everyday materials only up here. Everything here is going to be more soft to touch. One touch up and down for the front windows, and a smaller storage pocket with a bottle or beverage holder in the front. And a moon roof that is standard on the EX and up. For the back seat, I'm at 37.2 inches of headroom, which is the same as the last generation. Leg space at 40.8 inches, which is almost 0.5 inches more than the prior gen. The door panel gets the same materials as the front, and it should, because this is a Touring. Hard up here, soft to touch everywhere else. Gloss black, heated rear seats, because this is the Touring. It's the only one that offers it. With a smaller storage pocket, but you can put a flask this way, and you'll have 2 USB-C ports with your air vents in the center with storage only behind the passenger seat. Sitting into the center is going to be more comfortable because these are leather seats opposed to the cloth seats. Headroom is still not necessarily an issue. I got about a hand between my head. Leg space, I have plenty of space, feet, butt, and shoulder space, and the bolstering on this opposed to the cloth is going to have a little bit more of a wider sit, whereas the cloth, you kind of scoot into each other. Taking the all-new Honda Accord hybrid touring out for our test run. Everything's reworked in this model, even the engine. So I like that. When you get to this level, all the bells and whistles are thrown in, the upgraded sound system, all the screens, everything that you need for a plush drive. All of the vehicles will have a retuned suspension, and the seats are reworked so it's more comfortable also. If you're able to do it soft, you don't hear the engine, but let's give it a go. When you get up to speed, it's pretty quiet. The sound dampening has increased. You will hear the engine even if you option the hybrid, unless you're able to use the EV where it shuts it off, but it's very sensitive. Anytime you push the gas or the throttle, it's going to really engage that 4-cylinder. But the stance to it does feel a little bit more elegant, a little bit more of the luxury side. The sporty side really is just for the air vent, for the mesh inserts, and the way it sets up. I wasn't necessarily a huge fan of bigger screens, but this 12.3 actually works well. I have driven it with the smaller screen, and I dislike it because it's a little bit wider in the interior. You have more space, so you actually sit out a little bit more. The seats are a lot more comfortable too for your day in and day out use, and that was the whole purpose of the redesign for the seats. The suspension, I mean, you just glide over everything. And I have it in sport mode, so it's a little bit more engaged. If we put it into the Econ, which got to go through here, doesn't really make the pedal any heavier, so I like the fact that it's not doing like the Nissan where you push it and it feels like there's a brick that you got to go through. Now that's going to take me to some things I like and dislike, and starting off with what I like, this is basically an Acura badged as a Honda with discounts that's insane. When you get the Touring, you'll know exactly what I mean, because you get everything thrown in. It has that wide fascia, so it makes it look a little bit more aggressive, yet they're keeping it luxurious. The second thing that I like about it is they have implemented a bigger screen, and normally I would never say this, it's just they've been doing smaller screens for so long that when you finally see this screen in the width of the interior of this, it really changes the whole ball game and platform of this interior. The last thing that I like is it's a little bit more airy and open in the interior. They did the same concept in the CRV and HRV, and it just works. Everything is more open, and it feels like I have a lot more interior space. Even if it's just a few tenths more than the prior gen, it feels loads more. Three things that I dislike is you have to option the hybrid in order to get ventilated, heated front seats, heated rear seats, and not just the hybrid. You have to option the Touring. They don't give you a package where you can get this on a lower trim, in which when you get into the hybrid, they give you everything. Even if you option the Sport, you'll get gloss black on the exterior, bigger wheels. The smaller wheels are on the Turbo. Maybe give us an option to add those things. The second thing that I dislike is you can only get the heads-up display in the Touring hybrid, so you have to spend near $40,000. Sport mode, let's go. It's obviously not going to throw you back. It's not going to be as engaged of a drive. It's a very smooth transition, which I think they did a good job. When you get into Accords or Camrys, unless you do like a TRD, you're really expecting a comfortable drive and something you could do for a long drive, not something that is so much where the suspension's lowered and you're just like, oh, and you're feeling all the bumps. They made this where you could drive it on a daily use and you still have a little performance underneath it. The last thing that I dislike is all these red lights. Take two. The last thing that I dislike, this is around $40,000. No power telescoping steering wheel, no power for your trunk lid spoiler, no hydraulic struts for the hood. These are things that when you get into a touring, you really want, but then it almost makes it like, why would you go Acura? So I kind of understand. It just would be nice that they threw it in here. Going back to the competition, whether Toyota, Nissan, Kia, I think this is definitely going to stand out from the pack, especially considering the way they have went for their engine options. And this is going to make Toyota probably change their engine options, in which it's gonna not be great because I actually like the V6 variant with over 300 horsepower. However, if you do a hybrid, maybe you can get a little bit more performance out of it. That's not gonna be the case here. It will be less performance numbers, but it is more than the carryover turbocharge. So you gotta kind of pick and choose what you like. The brakes are a little bit smaller than the prior gen. Braking, still pretty decent for a hybrid, because they adds weight to it. Turn radius is about 2 lanes, and let's rock and roll. And like I said, it's more of a relaxed drive. So it really does tick the box for something that's for a family, elegance. You can get this under $40,000. More than likely it's going to touch into the $40,000, but to get all these packages together is really hard, especially if you are looking at a luxury vehicle. Typically you're going to be more at $50,000 on a base MSRP. So what Honda's doing is really changing up the whole ball game, and now luxury lines like Acura, Infiniti, they really need to step up their game, because is a $45,000, $50,000 MSRP worth, considering you're getting all that in this for a significant price decrease? The adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist has been tweaked really well, in the sense that it actually works decent. When it disengages, it first disengages the lane keep assist and the adaptive cruise control afterwards. It will not come to a complete stop for you. You will have to take over the vehicle. I also demonstrate this on Instagram and Facebook for the reels, so you can see different cars and trims there and how these features work. Some are better than others, but for the price point, you get about 0.2 to 0.3 miles. Comparing it against Nissan, they don't make a Maxima anymore. You have to go to the Ultima. The Ultima has a VC turbocharged engine, which that is a lot faster variant. It feels sportier, but it's also not as much interior room as this. Toyota, they're getting ready to go through a full refresh, so we'll see how they entertain engines, because they may get rid of a V6. There's not any talks about it, but because everyone's going hybrid, why wouldn't they change it? Would be nice if they did have a different option just besides hybrid and that turbo, but hey, this is what Honda wanted to do. I'd like to thank Ocean Honda for giving us this 2023 Honda Accord Touring Hybrid for our car review. If you're already a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Hawkeye community. If not, I don't know what you're waiting for. Click the next video and the subscribe button. Check out the merchandise website, Instagram, leave a comment and a like.